In this video, we'll be discussing the meaning and examples of scalar and vector quantities. So what are scalar quantities? Scalar quantities are quantities that have only magnitude but no direction. Examples are length, area, volume, mass, energy, temperature, speed, work, distance, density, pressure, frequency, time, etc. So all these quantities have magnitude, that is, they can be measured. Length can be measured, area can be measured, volume can be measured, mass can be measured, distance can be measured. All of them, they can be measured, but their direction is unknown. Their direction cannot be determined. For instance, if the area of this rectangle is 30 meters square, the area itself is a scalar quantity because it has only magnitude. That is, the area can be measured, of course, which is 30 meters square, but the direction cannot be determined. Whether the direction of the area is due west, due north, due east, or due south is totally unknown. So scalar quantities are simply quantities that have only magnitude but no direction. Their direction cannot be determined. It is very important to know that scalar quantities are usually represented by a line, and this line usually indicates the magnitude. So having known the meaning and examples of scalar quantities, let's dash to the meaning of vector quantities. Vector quantities are quantities that have both magnitude and direction. So the difference between the scalar quantities and the vector quantities is that vector quantities have direction while scalar quantities have no direction. Examples of the vector quantities are displacement, velocity, acceleration, torque, force, momentum, current, gravitational field, electric field, etc. All these quantities have both magnitude and direction. They can be measured, and also their direction can also be determined. For instance, a force, which is a vector quantity, will always act in a particular direction. It can act due north, due east, due south, or due west. So the direction of vector quantities can always be determined. So vector quantities are quantities that have both magnitude and direction. It is very important to know that vector quantities are usually represented with a line and an arrow. The line indicates the magnitude, while the arrow indicates the direction of the vector. So this is another paramount difference between vector and scalar quantities. Vector quantities are represented by a line and an arrow, while scalar quantities are just represented by only a line, and that line indicates the magnitude. So with this, we are done with the meaning and examples of scalars and vector quantities. In the next video, we'll look at addition of scalar quantities.